Trump is so strong. He's so masculine. He's so manly. That's what I hear all too often from the MAGAs. There's this belief that he exhibits signs of high character and strength, and he's a man's man with his makeup on. And what's interesting is I feel like you learn really young that many of the key parts of Trump's character are indicative of someone who's wildly insecure, who's actually weak in so many ways. And one of those is that whenever he gets challenged, as reporters are supposed to challenge him, he throws a temper tantrum and he starts insulting the reporters personally. One moment we didn't get to cover, and this looks like it was from the Zelensky meeting, but it was Kaitlan Collins going back and forth with Donald Trump. And it reminded me of a few different exchanges they've had, and he always takes the same approach. And my question is, if you're out there and you're in the MAGA world and you look up to Trump, he's your political father, whatever, is this strong to you? Do you perceive this as a stable, secure man who so easily is triggered into personally attacking Kaitlan Collins, the CNN reporter and journalist? Let's watch this and then we'll look back at other examples.
Minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines, and in areas that Russia.
Very good question. Thank you so much.
Direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interest? Would that be Ukraine?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them. The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
But what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Right. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Yeah, please, go ahead.
One more. I already mentioned problem.
Credit to Kaitlan Collins for just ignoring and continuing to ask the question, because any rational observer, which is not, sometimes it doesn't feel like most observers, but any rational observer would see that and go, she's asking a very basic, fundamental question about this deal, which is that the United States is going to take over stake in rare earth minerals and in Ukrainian resources in exchange for our support. If all of a sudden it's American interests in this country, the likes of which we haven't yet seen, does that mean that American military forces or American individuals of some sort are going to be tasked with protecting that in the case of another invasion? Or is it not that? Is there some other part of this? And he says, no. Number one, his first justification for thinking Kaitlan Collins was asking a ridiculous question is the agreement will protect those sites. What, the piece of paper? Is the piece of paper going to go and stop Russian forces? No, but what part of the agreement, of that piece of paper, what is it obligating us to? And then he backs off of that and goes, well, we won't need it because Putin won't invade any further. Oh, but what if he does? He wouldn't. Really? That's the best you got? Yeah, and no invasions, military threats, national security threats, or terrorist attacks are ever going to happen again, so I just made us safer than ever. That's not how policymaking works. There is a very real possibility, given the actions of Putin over the last decades, that any agreement that's struck now, if it doesn't have strong security guarantees backed by Europe or the United States, will cause further bloodshed, further invasion, as we've talked so much about. But his best way of getting out of that question is just attacking her personally, attacking CNN's ratings, which some people cheer on. You'll see MAGA accounts who say, yeah, he just crushed her, when in reality, he doesn't even know the nuts and bolts of his own plan, or he understands that this is all just assuming that Putin's going to be a good boy when he's notoriously a baddie. A horrible, murderous dictator, to be more specific. Here's more from Trump.
Sir, on Ukraine, when Putin says that he really wants peace, do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I believe he wants peace. I believe that President Putin, when I spoke to him yesterday, I mean, I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't.
Yeah. Every time I see this, how? What? Really? You think it's crazy that people don't see that and go, well, this is not someone who understands world affairs. The guy whose political opponents magically vanish or stab themselves 30 times and fall out of windows, that guy is supposed to just give Trump his word, and Trump believes it. I think he would tell me. Just like how Trump said, I know I've said this before when looking at this clip, but just like how Trump said that if Putin tried to interfere in the election, why would he have told me that he didn't?
Very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't. I'd like to see peace.
Do you trust President
I
Putin?
believe that, I believe that he would like to see something happen. I trust him on this subject. I think he'd like to see something happen. I think it could have happened a long time ago. I think Biden, number one, it shouldn't have started, but it did. And now all those cities are knocked down like demolition sites. All those beautiful golden towers are knocked down. There's nothing going to replace them. But much more importantly, you lost millions of people. A lot of soldiers, but you lost millions of people. When they knocked down those cities, and they're all laying down on the side, they're laying down just in ashes and all crumbled up concrete. They literally...
What are you doing? What are you talking about? What does that have to do with you trust Putin because he destroyed a bunch of cities? That's what he's saying. He's saying there's been a lot of destruction in Ukraine. Yeah, why? Why? Because you just got done saying you trust Putin, the guy who caused all the things that you're now listing.
They look like a world-class demolition site, and many of them, almost all of them, but many of them. And this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility.
Any of CNN's problems, he's a one-trick pony. That's the one insult he can bring out, and every time it creates a clip that MAGA's really hyped about. It's so predictable, when in reality it's his way of getting out of being cornered. And it should be something that even his supporters go, ooh, that was awkward. He had to just start attacking CNN instead of comprehensively answering the question. He just starts talking about the domes and how Putin is trustworthy and how he would just tell me if he wanted to continue war. The guy who notoriously breaks agreements, Minsk II, for example, and we've seen his willingness to, for the sake of his own advantage, make a deal that gives him a second to get into a better economic and military situation and then continue his aggression. So any deal that's built on his word is not a deal at all. And Trump doesn't seem to understand that, or he's fine with it. Maybe in his mind, he's thinking Putin will do me a solid, make an agreement. He takes a couple years to prepare his military for further invasion. I leave office, and then I get to say I brought peace. Well, really, I just brought more war and a stronger Russia to facilitate that war. Then another exchange between him and Kaitlan Collins was Trump saying Collins' question wasn't smart, even though it was wildly relevant.
You don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control, and seemingly the member of the U.S. military.
This was in the wake of the devastating crash between the helicopter and a plane coming into DCA.
Military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think were the names of the people. You mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families
They
to
are
hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question.
But are you
I'm
blaming-
surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming your
Not a smart question to ask. Is it really appropriate to start blaming things before any investigation has been done and the things that you're blaming make absolutely no sense? By the way, incidents that we're seeing now, are those still the fault of DEI? He said he's fundamentally already revamped our federal workforce and he's already solved all these problems, most successful presidency since George Washington. so far, he claimed during his speech absurdly. If that's the case, then how long does it get to go where you blame Biden? Recently, he accidentally admitted out loud that he's going to take credit for things, but then on the big negative things, he'll blame on someone else. That's going to be the strategy. He's saying that the economy is roaring back, even though we're seeing really bad numbers in Q1 that weren't there until Trump started going crazy. He could have not touched the economy and pretended like the strong numbers that were seemingly inevitable were because of him. But instead, he started going crazy and is acting like the overall economy is finally doing better and it's because of him. But any bad metrics, egg prices, or surely if the GDP numbers end up being what they're being forecasted to be, when that comes out, if job numbers go down, whatever, he'll blame that all on Biden. Oh, well, he handled me a debacle. Really? Because things looked a lot better. Even forecasts for the start of your presidency until you started messing with things so poorly like the trade war. Share your thoughts in the comments.